Intel just announced that they are terminating their acquisition of Tower Semiconductor. And unfortunately, we can see Intel's stock price is down roughly 2.9% as I am recording today's episode. What I want to do is take a closer look. Is this something that investors should be worried, as we know this company is really pushing into this manufacturing market? Or is this good news for Intel? Let's take a closer look in today's episode. So like I mentioned today, Intel announced that they are scrapping this deal for their acquisition of Tower Semiconductor company. And the main reason is they did not get all the regulations approval in time. The main player here is unfortunately China, which did not kind of give them the okay for the acquisition. In response, Intel is canceling this kind of acquisition move. And for those that are not familiar, this acquisition move was announced on February 15th of 2022. And because they are terminating the agreement, Intel will have to pay roughly $353 million to Tower. I don't believe that's we do see a lot of these deals happening like this, where if they get terminated or they don't go through, they have to pay some form of termination fee. So the termination fee is not something I would worry about as an investor. I also wanted to take a closer look at Tower Semiconductor just to see how the stock is doing. Right now, the stock is down roughly 10.4%. It does seem like investors were really hoping for this deal to go through. So Tower right now has a market cap of 3.3 billion. Obviously, investors were happy for that extra kind of valuation that the acquisition would have gone, because the acquisition would have been roughly $5.4 billion. So now that we understand what's happening, I want to take a closer look. Is this something that Intel investors should be worried about? Especially as we know that Intel is really focusing on becoming this leader in the semiconductor manufacturing aspect. And I personally believe the answer is no. But before I explain my reasoning, I just want to say thank you guys for all the support. We recently just hit 27.2 subs. 27.3 is so close. So make sure to hit the subscribe button. I'm trying to hit 30,000 by the end of the year. If you want to learn more about the semiconductor market, I do have weekly exclusive videos on my membership program. Just click join. If you want a special offer to check out Fool.com, look at Fool.com/Jose. Or if you just want free newsletter, check out josenaharo.substack.com. Finally, I want to thank The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video, and check out fool.com/Jose for the 10 best stocks to buy now. With that link, you get a promotional offer for the subscription service. Now, let's continue with today's episode. So the reason I say no, that this isn't really a big deal, if I was a Intel investor, which I'm not, I would actually be happy about this, right? I do believe they could use that $5.4 billion for other purposes. So we can see right now, Intel, they're really trying to push these advanced nodes, and they're trying to become a leader in advanced manufacturing semiconductors. The main reason we're seeing this is because they're spending a lot of money in, for example, their next generation nodes, Intel 4, Intel 3, Intel 20A, Intel 18A, right? So these are the small nanometers, the 5 nanometer, 3 nanometer, 2 nanometer nodes, and these are their advanced chips. The reason they are kind of creating these chips is because in theory they are manufacturing, they'll be able to manufacture for other companies, but Intel also is a designer of CPUs. So for them to design the best CPUs, I think they want to manufacture the best type of semiconductor in the smallest nodes, and that depends with the likes of TSMC. So we can see right off the bat, Intel's true motive in this manufacturing endeavors is to focus in the small semiconductor solutions, kind of that advanced manufacturing node. And if we take a closer look at Tower Semiconductor, we can see that that's not necessarily the case of the assets they would have grabbed. Here we can see that Tower Semi has numerous manufacturing. They have, I believe, 2 in Israel, a few in Europe, 2 in USA, and 2 in Japan. And if we take a closer look, we can see that the nodes that they actually work with here are, I wouldn't consider advanced nodes, right? For example, here in the United States, they have 0.18 micrometers. That's about 180 nanometers. So we can see pretty big compared to the advanced nodes. They're trying to go to the 7 nanometers, right? 0.13 micrometers, which is 130 nanometers. So overall, we can see that these manufacturing plants that they would have gotten wouldn't really have helped them push into the advanced node. It definitely would have been a great asset for kind of more the chips that go deal with power, power, with maybe the N-Lock RF. And there's obviously solutions or why Intel might have wanted this, but I don't believe it goes with their core manufacturing plan of becoming the world's greatest advanced manufacturing company, right? So if this was a company that had numerous kind of technology that allowed them to make chips in the in the like the 10 nanometer, sub 10 nanometer nodes, I would have said that maybe it would have been a bit different if they lost this acquisition. But if we can see most of the chips that they have, even the ones in Japan, are working with 45 nanometer is the smallest I saw. I don't believe it's necessarily that big of a loss for for Intel. I think the biggest loss for Intel is more maybe the talent based. Tower Semiconductor is definitely a company that has been in the manufacturing world. So they know a little bit of the ins and out. They also have a lot of customers. So maybe some of those customers' relationships is what they're really losing out, the talent and the customer relations. But in forms of I want to say, in forms of equipment, in forms of technology, I think Intel is going to be a-okay. Like I mentioned, this is a facility that has roughly a few in Israel, a few in the United States, a few in Japan, and Intel will have to pay roughly a termination fee of $353 million. So in my opinion, I mean, like I mentioned, Tower Semiconductor is down. Intel's down roughly 2.6%. I definitely can see if one doesn't understand the different players in the manufacturing business, why maybe some might say that this is bad for their manufacturing endeavors. But like we saw, that they're really trying to push that advanced manufacturing. And for that advanced manufacturing, I don't think Intel is losing out much. I'd rather them have this extra $5.4 billion as they want to maybe improve, maybe buy more equipment from ASML, buy more equipment for their advanced manufacturing, especially since Intel is becoming a big player. They are expanding globally, Arizona, Ohio. We saw some in Germany. And I do believe right now they have a nice amount of manufacturing plants up in construction and expected to be starting productions within the upcoming years, that they didn't lose much from this acquisition, like I mentioned earlier. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Take care, have a good day, and see you next time.